This tinted glass shader may be exactly what you're looking for most of the time, but we're going to take it a step further and set it up so that we can have a blurred or frosted glass look. So let's go ahead and jump back into im_glass and make some changes. In order to add a blurred glass or frosted glass effect, we're going to need a custom material function that comes with the Unreal Engine. So we're going to right-click here and search for Spiral Blur. And what we want here is Spiral Blur Scene Texture. Now we're going to use this material function to control both the emissive color and the opacity input of our material. So the first thing we need to do is set up some parameters for our material function here, Spiral Blur. And we're going to need 3 scalars for that. So we'll go ahead and create those 3. The first scalar we're going to pipe into the distance input. And the second one is going to go into distance steps. Finally, our third one, we're going to put that into temporal AA distance blur. Now let's go ahead and start to convert these into parameters. The first one here, we're going to call it distance. We're basically just going to match the names here. Second one, we're going to call distance steps. And we're going to leave temporal AA just as a constant, and we're going to set the value to 1. Setting it to 1 essentially turns this one on, and that's all we really need here. Now, in order to go into the opacity input, we want to still have access to controlling the edge opacity by itself, so we're going to need to add these two together. So for that, we'll right-click, do a search for an add node. We're going to add the subtraction here, so that's going to go into A, and we're going to add that to the scene color clamp to 0. We're going to put that into the B input of our add node. And then we can drive that into our clamp. And that just leaves the emissive color input. And for that, what we're going to do is we're going to take the vertex color information, and then we're going to invert it, and then multiply it by the result of our spiral blur, and pipe that into emissive color. This is going to allow us to have the milky, blurry effect only on the parts of the glass that don't currently have the green tinting. So let's go ahead and hold down the O key on our keyboard to add our inversion node here, which is 1-, and we'll pipe our vertex colors into that. Then we need a multiply node. We're going to multiply our inverted vertex colors by the result of our spiral blur, and then we can pipe that into the emissive color input. All right, we should be all finished here. Let's go ahead and save this. Remember, this is going to take a little time to compile. Okay, so we can see the results of our frosted glass here now on the material. It's at the default settings right now, which are 0, so you're not really seeing much going on. Let's go ahead and load up the material instance, and we can tweak those settings. We'll scroll down to the frosting section and make sure that distance and distance steps are enabled so you can play with them here. And let's start with distance steps, and we're going to go bring this up to a value of 2. And then we'll go ahead and bring up distance. And as we bring this up, you're going to see the changes begin to occur in the viewport there. Now, you may see a little issue here on the bottom, this white graphical glitch that's appearing in the viewport. If we go into full screen interactive mode here, F11, that is going to go away, so you won't have that problem anymore. It's just a viewport issue. If you go back into your viewport after being in interactive mode, that should go away. So play with the settings until you get the look you want. I'm going to go with a value of 0.1 for distance and a value of 1 for distance steps. This example shows how vertex colors can very cheaply allow us to localize material effects on a mesh. This same workflow can be used to simulate puddles on the ground by controlling roughness values of a surface, or even be used to paint dirt, grime, and other material effects on a surface without needing to use a separate texture map. Keep in mind, however, that vertex painting is limited by the number of available vertices. Meshes need to be higher density in the vertex count in order to be able to truly benefit from this technique. Next up, we'll look at a great way for using displacement mapping to simulate rugs, carpets, and other furry and fuzzy surfaces.